right. Hello, guys, and welcome to another show, FPL One Percenters. That's who we are. Hello to Hammer and Kazim. How are you guys?
Not too bad. Could have been better.
Yeah, doing good. Just finished watching some of the FA Cup games, so I'm sure we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, what a blazing game, 5-4. It's good. And speaking of the FA Cup, I think after the FA Cup's finished this week, we're going to have a better idea of fixtures in game week 26, and that's something that I'm excited to have a chat about. So why don't we get right into it? Okay. So game week 24, and the good news is we got a few doubles. First, I want to thank Footsapp for sponsoring the pod. And if you need to schedule any games, this is the best app. Just download it, give it a whirl. It's good to go. All right. So before we get going with game week 24, I know we're all excited. Let's talk about game week 23. So my game week 23, I think I hit 69 points. Had a small red arrow, but I think it's the smallest red arrow I've ever had. I think I lost about 500 places overall, so not too bad considering. And I had a benching problem where I left quite a few. I think almost 30 points on the bench. So not the best, but that happens. How about you, Kazim?
Yeah, pretty good week. I mean, I got 74, so I'm still hovering just over the million, around 800,000. So it was a green arrow for me. But yeah, just I guess I didn't have the problem as you in terms of having big points on the bench. So I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, just bank the transfer for the week. So really looking to add some ideas on where to use those transfers for 24.
Yeah, it's good planning. What about you, Hammer? How was your game week?
Yeah, I got 72. I'm a bit lower down in the rank, so I went up like 200,000. I think I'm at close to 1 million now, but moving up slowly. It was a nice green arrow. But yeah, same thing. Had Dallas on the bench, and I think it was one more player on the bench, and Sufal on the bench. So that was a big 18 points on the bench.
Yeah. Oh, not bad. Well, if we're talking rank, can I drop my rank in here? I'm at about 30,000 right now, so I'm doing okay. But I've had a few good calls. I've been on a good run for the last couple of months. Let's see if I can keep going. But yeah, just looking at the game week 23, quite a lot of goals. Clean sheet at Fulham, West Ham. I think a lot of people, myself included, brought in Antonio. He went off early. I was trying to read whether it's an injury or not. They're saying it was a precaution. He was fatigued. I don't know. It could be one of those games that David Moyes is playing, and it's questionable what to do with him this week. Of you guys have got Antonio as well, right?
Yeah, he initially said that it's fatigue before the FA Cup game, and then after the FA Cup game, he said we needed to rest him. He's still not doing well, so we'll see. So I think he's just playing a game. We'll see. But yeah, I had him for I think the last 4 weeks. So he's got me some nice returns over the 4 weeks. But yeah, I don't know if I'll keep him going forward, especially with the double game weeks coming up. So we'll see.
Yeah, he had one more nice game I was targeting against Sheffield United, but I know it's questionable whether or not to keep him. And with Manchester City all over Liverpool, their options look good, and they do have a double game week, which we're going to get into in a couple of slides. But going to Chelsea, Kazim, you're our man on Chelsea. I know you were away mourning the loss of Frank Lampard. And so what's the story? Can we is the team sort of steady now? Can we know who's going to start, or is it still up in the air?
Yeah, I mean, it's still fairly up in the air. It's really hard to predict, especially in the attack, who's going to start. I think the only real safe option right now, and he was actually a fear of mine when Tuchel did come in, is Mason Mount. Seems to be putting in the performances. He got the goal last game. So I think he's a staple. I still wouldn't, he's still a bit of a risk in terms of picking him. Defensively, that's probably, you have more stability there. I mean, Azpilicueta seems to be playing the last 3-4 games, and same with Rudiger. Although he did have a bit of a shaky own goal, I still think those two are their main guys, at least until Thiago Silva comes back. On the wing backs, Reece James, I still think it's not something you should. If you have him, maybe hold him for another week, but otherwise, I wouldn't bring in either Reece James or Ben Chilwell just because there's too much uncertainty. And it looks like Tuchel really sets up his team based on the opponent versus like a consistent lineup.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. And then, the first bullet there regarding Villa, I think Martinez is a godsend. I don't have him. I wish I did, but he's those clean sheets keep coming in for Villa. Hammer, I think you have Martinez, right?
I had him.
Oh, you had him. Okay.
And then I took him out during the double game in for Fabianski, and
Right.
Fabianski's done really well since then. So I'm not looking back, but I think he's done well. But we still need to play the fixtures.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You still need to look at who he's playing against, because there are other better options still. But yeah, if you want to keep someone standby, it's there the whole season, then he's one of the best options.
Not bad.
Yeah, the thing with Martinez too is that the fact that amongst the goalkeepers, his ownership is like, I think 30-40% or something like that. So if he does bang, and when he does get his points, he cleans up on bonuses, saves, and everything.
Yeah.
You feel it a lot much more than you would with any other goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So I've been targeting him for a while, and I just keep putting it off because you never really want to waste a trade on a keeper. But if the double game weeks come, and once we get clarity on that, I think he's a must-have for those reasons.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I agree. I hate, putting a transfer on a goalkeeper. I usually wait till a wild card, so we'll see. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So this is the upcoming fixture. So this is quite an interesting look at the next, 5 or 6 game weeks. And the gray bars in the middle are midweek games. So, the first thing you can see there is game week 24. We've got 4 doubles coming up. We've got Burnley, Everton, Fulham, Manchester City involved. And then, what we mentioned earlier, game week 26, that's going to be a huge double game week. And the fixtures from game week 29 that are part of the FA Cup are going to move to game week 26. So those will likely, before the game week 25 deadline, I think they'll be announced. Some of them may be announced before the game week 24 deadline, but I think based on what I've read, it's going to be between the game week 25 deadline. And just looking at these fixtures, I think you look at Burnley, and I know a lot of people are targeting Burnley assets, especially in defense with Pope and Ben Mee coming in for Palace versus Fulham. And obviously Manchester City with, it doesn't matter who they play. If they've got a double game week, it's always a good option. And, Hammer, you mentioned that, you're targeting these double game weeks. Who have you got in mind?
Yeah, so the City ones look good. I already have Gundogan in my team. I have Cancelo. So I think I'm going to roll with the 2 of them. In regards to the other 3 teams, the only one that entices me is Burnley, right? So I went with, I think I'd got Nick Pope and Eric Peters in my team. So I went with the 2 of them. I already had Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so I have the Everton cover there. I'm not going to go all out because, like you said, there's another double game week coming up. So I don't want to have to transfer too many players out to get players for the next double game week. So since it's only 4 teams, I'm going to go light this week and then plan ahead for game week 26.
Yeah,
I think I just want to say, I think United Crystal Palace has already been scheduled for game week 26. So,
is that confirmed? Okay.
Yeah, that's already confirmed, and it's going to be a blank in game week 29.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a good point. Yeah. And Kazim, before I get to you, one of the things to consider is when we have these double game weeks in 26, the teams that double will most likely blank in 29. So if you bring in, a lot, like say 11 double game week players in 26, you're going to struggle to field a team in 29. So if you have a free hit, that's going to be premium for that week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's sort of been my strategy. I've been sort of targeting that game week 29 because I know at least from what I can see from live FPL, like at least 80% of people have used one of the chips, and I haven't used any of mine except the wild card from the first half of the year. So I'm really I was sort of waiting for this week to come and just trying to plan out how I can sort of strategically set up my team. So that way for game week 30, I'm set up too. But yeah, I guess for just to touch on the double game week 24, I mean, from the 4, I think if you already have a double City defensive line, I would keep it. But if you just have one right now, either Sterling in the mid would be a good, I think, decent differential because I think his ownership is still quite low versus probably Gundogan right now. And then obviously with Edison as a keeper, he's pretty much safe in terms of getting rotated out. So those would sort of be the guys I would sort of target if you don't already have the three coverage, City coverage, which I already do. So for me, I'm just victim to Pep Roulette and hopefully they play both, but otherwise I'll stick.
Yeah, no, and before we get to the next slide where we did some analysis on the double game week players, those 4 teams, just reading, injury updates today. I think we were talking about it off air, but Pope, there's a question mark around him. Diaz has got a fever, but it could be food poisoning. DCL got taken off today. Justin got taken off today. And I'm pretty sure there was another one in my team who was questionable
Antonio.
as well. Antonio, there you go. Yeah, another one. So it's quite a few. And that's, for everybody watching, don't make your transfers until, just before deadline. If you can, I know there's price rises, but I wouldn't worry about, losing 0.1, 0.2 here, and just wait to make the transfers late possible to get that info. Okay, why don't we just jump right in straight to the deep dive? So again, what I mentioned is we're looking at only those 4 teams because, if they're double game weeks and you think you want to bring these guys in, or even if you want to take a hit, let's just see, if that's worth it. And similar to Kazim, I've got 2 City defense and I've got a Gundogan. But looking at these stats, if I didn't and I was bringing in a third player, I would most likely look at having Gundogan as well as Sterling, because this table that I'm showing right now, XG and XA, so the expected goals and expected assists over the last 4 game weeks. And you look at there, Gundogan and Sterling way above anybody else up there. Calvert-Lewin, sneaking in there in 3rd place, but those 2 are way ahead, and they've got the stats to back it up. In the last, we've got Gundogan with 4 goals and an assist, and Sterling with 3 goals and an assist. I know when you look at this table, Kazim, does anybody stand out?
Yeah, I mean, those are sort of the main guys that you had mentioned: Gundogan, Sterling. Calvert-Lewin was obviously another one that was sort of my guaranteed transfer to do for Benteke, which I've been holding for a while. But now I'm sort of deciding, okay, maybe I should just bank that transfer and wait till next week or once there's more double game weeks. But yeah, other than that, it's Gundogan, Sterling, Cancelo. Obviously, he's always due a big score because he always gets those shots in the box. But other than that, like, I know we have quite a few other players in here, but I just don't trust anyone other than probably Calvert-Lewin and any of the City guys, attack-wise at least, yeah.
Yeah, and what about you, Hammer? Do you see any differentials there, or anybody you'd want to try and get in?
Yeah, so there's one guy that sticks out, and that's Bernardo Silva. So he's really far down the table. So he's got 3 assists, 15 touches in the penalty area. So you can see for the people around him, he's higher than most, and he's higher than most of the people above him too, right? So if you see him play, you think he started the last 9 games for Manchester City. So he's pretty nailed on as long as KDB is not back, and he plays similar to Sterling. Like, he's always in the box, he's always around the box, he's creating the chances. So if you're looking for a differential, you can't afford Sterling, then at 7.4 you can get Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, and what, I'd go out on a limb and say, if Jesus starts both games, his stats are up there. He's got the 2 goals and the assist. And I don't know, maybe it's just an eye testing, but when Jesus starts, I always see Gundogan playing a bit deeper. And I'm not sure. I need to look at that to see, if that really impacts his numbers. But it's a sneaky pick there. And then Lookman at 5 million. I mean, his XG/XA is up there. He hasn't produced anything in terms of goals, assists. But if you're looking to climb ranks, that's a sneaky differential that you could bring in for 5 million.
Yeah, I think Lookman's a very good option. Jesus, I'm just scared he gets rotated, because he gets rotated a lot. So he might start 1 game, get benched 1 game.
Did he play in the FA Cup? Or
he did. He did play today. Yesterday. Yeah.
No,
he scored. Was it today? Yeah, he scored a nice. I get my days mixed up, but he did score a nice goal. I do recall. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and Rodri got 2 assists, but don't bring Rodri in.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think players like Foden and Jesus, they might start one and off the bench in the other, but really for City, you're looking at Gundogan, Sterling. You're looking at a Cancelo, Diaz, Stones, those guys, I think. And if Diaz is out, then Laporte becomes an option.
Yeah, the guy I don't see here.
Yeah, the thing is Foden.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Hammer.
Kazim got stuck, or?
So I was going to say, the thing with Foden is I don't know if can you guys hear me, or?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. The thing with Foden is that, I don't know if you had the comments by Pep after the game, but he specifically mentioned that, Foden started out on the centrally against Liverpool, And then he wasn't playing well, so we put him on the wing. So he said he still has a lot to learn. We have to work with him. So just by those comments, I think Pep still sees him as a work in progress. And due to the fact that he does, he's still going to rotate him quite a bit. So I don't see him starting both games. And that's why I see him as a risk in terms of bringing him in. If you have him, keep him. But like Hass said, Sterling or Gundogan or Jesus seem to be, I guess, more likely, at least for a double game week, if you want a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, what I was saying is there's one player that's not on this list, and that's the guy I brought in is Eric Peters, and he's got 2 assists in his last 4 games, and he's played the full 90 minutes, right? So, if you're looking at a defender from Burnley, and if you don't want to bring in Pope, because the way I look at it is if Pope gets a clean sheet, the defenders get the clean sheets, but the defenders have a chance of getting an attacking return, right? Pope doesn't. So you're better off, if you're going to bring in a Burnley defender, you're better off going with a Ben Mee or an Eric Peters. And I would prefer an Eric Peters only because he tends to put the ball in the box a lot more, and they just score from corners and crosses. So
yeah, that's a good point. And one of the interesting stats I read is when Burnley keep a clean sheet, Pope is most likely to get the 3 bonus points as well. So he's averaging almost 9 points every time Burnley get a clean sheet, which is good.
That's true.
Yeah, so let's move on to a player involvement. So this is for all players in the league, and this is over the last 4 game weeks. We did the same table last time. I think I did it for it was for the last 6 game weeks, but this is the last 4 game weeks. And the key stat there is minutes per expected goal involvement. And again, you look at the 2 people that we've talked about. Sterling, Gundogan up there. And then, the rest of them, people that you'd expect, see there, Bruno, Antonio, Salah, and, Saka, the cheapest one up there. Anybody outside of the double game weeks, Hammer, that you think, might be a good pick?
Yeah, Bamford, right? That's the only guy so honestly, I took him out and I keep regretting why I took him out. He's got 20 returns in the last 22 or 23 games, and he just keeps going, like 2 goals and 3 assists. Like, that's insane. That's the one guy I'd want in the team. Besides that, Rafinha is a good differential for your midfield, but I wouldn't rush to bring him in. Like, I don't think he's going to keep up that pace, but you never know.
Yeah, and Rafinha's good. I mean, he's, I think based on the fixtures, I think Leeds are likely to get a double game week fixture. I think it was in 26, but if they do, Rafinha's a nice little pick there. What about you, Kazim? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Hammer sort of stole my pick. Yeah, Rafinha is like really attractive to me just because I just checked his ownership now, like 2.5%. He's at 5.3 million, and they actually do have a double game week next week, Wolves and Southampton. So he's really like on my radar. It's just I don't know how I'm gonna sort of fit him in. The fact that I already have Gundogan at that similar price range. But given that, he's playing 2 games, he seems to be, returning quite a bit and picking up bonus points. He's like one of the main ones on the radar for me. And other than that, really, like you said, Saka is another one that seems to be, getting in a lot of points. I think, who did they play last? Was it Aston Villa? Yeah. He had like almost a breakaway, and he should have, I think it was Konsa who fouled him, should have been sent off. So, I mean, that game could have been very different. And Saka prior to that was, getting goals and assists and getting, I guess, his minutes per XG sort of shows how involved he is. So that would be sort of my main 2 picks.
Yeah, and the thing is that 5 million range now is getting so crowded. We already named Rafinha and Saka there, but then I've got Gundogan. I think most people have now, as well as Souček, the legend. He keeps popping up with his goals. Yeah. So it is, you can only probably pick 2 of those guys because you want to have at least 3 more expensive premium players in there. So that's something. And I was going to say the 2 guys we don't see on this, and maybe it's just because of the way Spurs have been playing, is Harry Kane and Son. And now they're both back. Are they in the picture in your thinking at least?
Harry Kane is. Son not so much. Only because not only is he not on this list, but there are other midfielders who are doing just as well. I would think about bringing Harry Kane back only because their fixtures are good going forward, and as a striker, I think he's one of the most reliable strikers there is in the game. So I'll bring about Harry Kane. But to add to what you said, Souček is also not on this list. right? And he's been killing it. And the one guy that's not on this list, which surprises me right now because I have him, is Grealish. Like I don't see Jack Grealish on this list, and that worries me. So now I have Jack Grealish on my team, so maybe Rafinha is a good bet for me over Grealish.
Yeah, and Grealish has got quite a heavy ownership as well. I think he's well in the 30%. Kazim, what do you think about this list? And any players that you were looking at that don't make this top, I think, 20 list?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Grealish, even is Ollie Watkins here or?
Yeah,
he is. Okay. But I mean, Grealish would be sort of the big one for me. I do have him as well. And my whole strategy was with him is trying to, like, I still think they have 2 games in hand. So their double game weeks, maybe even 3. I think it's 2 now. Their double game weeks are coming as well. So it's mainly sort of holding out for that, like building a team where you have a decent run of fixtures, but also if you can keep in mind of any rescheduled games coming to the forefront, sort of target those as well. That's sort of my strategy going forward is really try to, you can't predict when the double game weeks are per se, but generally which teams are going to have them. So if you can target your transfers towards those. But yeah, Harry Kane is I think will be a must-have very soon. Just you sort of got to wait till these double game weeks pass this week, and then maybe you can schedule that transfer for next week.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tottenham play Man City this week, so probably not a good time to bring those boys in. But then after that, with the doubles, I think it definitely makes sense to target the doubles. And sometimes with the double game week, if you've got a decent attacker, sometimes it's worth taking that hit, on the chance that he's got 2 games. So that thing. But then I think Southampton have got a double game week coming up as well. And I had Adams. But normally I'd try and keep somebody in who's got double game week, but with Adams I just had no faith, so I took him out. Yeah. I couldn't handle that. But just one thing for the viewers at home is all the latest news about double game weeks and injuries and potential lineups. We've got a Telegram channel. The link is in the description in the video. Make sure you sign up. You get some good content on there outside of the regular videos that we do on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
Yeah, if you don't have time for Twitter, this is your next best option. So I know I spend a lot of time on Twitter at least. So we'll sort of summarize the big news and updates on that Telegram chat.
Yeah. All right, perfect. All right, let's look to the week ahead then. We've got game week 24. We mentioned, the 4 teams involved in the doubles. But remember, outside of the doubles, there's some decent fixtures in there. I think, Manchester United away to West Brom. If there weren't any doubles, I think Fernandes would be, a stellar-looking captain. Kazim, any other fixtures that catch your eye right there?
Yeah, I mean, so my captain choice, I think the last 6, maybe even longer weeks, I just keep hitting. I think the last time I got a captain return was on KDB during either a double game week or that blank game week or whatever. And even that was just an assist. So I'm really trying to convince myself to think, okay, maybe Bruno is just the right choice. That fixture is too good, especially really my only other option is Gundogan, or it was going to be Calvert-Lewin to captain that week. But from the single game week, guys, I would, once again, Bamford is another option. And then obviously we have, what else? We got Grealish potentially against Brighton, although Brighton have sort of solidified a bit defensively. But yeah, that would sort of be my main picks.
Yeah. But Hammer, with knowing that we have a double game week, can you look past Manchester City, either Gundogan or Sterling for this?
So I can't, only because if you look at Gundogan's form and Sterling's form and the data we just saw, it's tough to look past them. Yeah. But they're playing Spurs and Everton. Right? These are 2 defensive teams, even though the 5-4 game today doesn't show it. They're 2 good teams. So I'm actually debating going with a Burnley defender, maybe with 2 clean sheets. But honestly, I think everybody else is going to go City. So you're going to risk missing out on so many points if you go with someone else and City do well. So I would go Gundogan or Sterling.
Yeah, and you know what? I've seen a lot of people online, talking about captaining Pope for this week. I've even seen talk of triple captaining Pope, which is quite an interesting move. But I think I haven't got any Burnley defenders. I'm thinking about bringing one in. I need to just check their fixtures after this game week. But yeah, I think for this game week, I think City are looking favourite. And even if you have Cancelo, because then you have the choice of attacking returns and a couple of clean sheets potentially. So another good option.
Yeah, the same thing. Though. I'm just scared Cancelo gets benched just as well in one of the games because that always happens.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think it's been a good chat. I think it's going to be an exciting game week. I think next week we're going to have a lot of info for you regarding double game week. So sign up for that Telegram and just stay tuned for the next video next week. And good luck.
Good luck, guys.